Welcome to Stretford Paddock. Today's show is brought to you by Surfshark VPN. Now more than ever, we rely on the internet, whether that's streaming shows, streaming podcasts, speaking with loved ones, or of course, watching the football. Now more than ever, with our rapidly growing digital footprint, security is a huge concern. Thankfully though, Surfshark have got you covered because Surfshark VPN have got access to servers in loads of different countries, which means that you can change your virtual location to a place where the sport might be free to air, or there are different broadcasting rights, or even just being able to log in to your services from back home if you're abroad. Surfshark VPN also encrypts your online connection, making sure that all of your activities, including streaming matches, remains private and secure. And even if you're not just streaming football, whether it's the latest Netflix show or something on Amazon that you've been wanting to watch, you can watch it no matter where you are. And also, there's plenty of region exclusive stuff that you can get access to by changing your digital location. And by connecting to the optimized servers provided by Surfshark VPN, you may actually get faster streaming speeds and reduced buffering, so you're not going to be waiting ages to see if that last minute shot actually went in. Overall, Surfshark VPN offers you the best flexibility, security, and accessibility to all the streaming and shows you could possibly want, making it the best choice for streaming. And currently Surfshark have a phenomenal deal on. Using the code Paddock, which is easy to remember, you get 4 extra months for free and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, 4 extra months for free and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go and check out the link in the description. And thank you once again to Surfshark for sponsoring the show. Hello, my name is Joe, and this is the Paddock Podcast. I'm joined by Ronaldo Brown, as always. How are you doing, Ronnie?
I'm doing really good. 3 wins on a bounce.
3 wins on the spin, as they say.
Yeah. That's why I always had an Amorim in top.
You've always had your Amorim in top on. And Tom Cooney as well. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for coming on, as always.
Being here, yeah.
How are you?
I'm good.
There's a lot to talk about
It's nice,
today.
isn't it?
It's really nice, isn't it? We can smile, we can think positive things about Manchester United, and it's not been very often in the last, I was saying on the news this morning, basically since Ten Hag's second season. So that's 2 years and sort of 3 or 4 months since we've actually been watching Man United games, and you watch them and go, we deserve to win that game, we were good today. Because I know we finished 8th under Ten Hag, which at the time felt like the worst we could ever possibly do. But that was a really poor season, and then other than winning that FA Cup, which was admittedly amazing, the league form was so poor. I feel like I'm actually watching us play now and think, this makes sense, this is a proper performance. So we've got loads to talk about. I also want to talk about the pundits. I don't know what's going on with Gary Neville. I don't get it.
Stuff at home, I think.
Something's happening there, and I want to get into that. Also, a little look at some of the wider reaction to the weekend games. But first of all, Ronaldo, it's Monday. We've watched a full weekend of games. It's the first time since 2016, I believe, that Liverpool, Chelsea and Man City have all lost on the same weekend. It's a nice time to be a Man United fan.
Hey, the hate watches this weekend were beautiful.
It was good stuff.
Do you know what's crazy? It was so manic after the Brighton win. Obviously, work doesn't stop here, innit? There's a lot after the games stuff, reviews, so forth and so forth. So, but I didn't really get to watch any of the Liverpool games. I wasn't keeping up with the score. I was doing so much. And obviously had a night out to go to after as well, which was perfect to celebrate United's third win on the bounce. And I checked the scoreline. I think my brother messaged me. My brother was like, have you seen a Liverpool score? And I didn't. So then I looked and I saw 3-2 Brentford, and I was like, just put Liverpool, lol. But obviously winning and your rivals losing as well, it makes things even sweeter. But yeah, especially for people like myself that always believed in Amorim.
Pardon?
What?
Say that again. What? People like yourself that always...
People like me over here.
That always believed in Amorim, did you?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna come and sort of have a go at you for it, because I accept that if we lose 3 games on the bounce, then it'll be the Amorim people who like Amorim that will be.
No one's vindicated at this
position.
point.
Yeah, we don't have any full conclusions on anything yet.
Yeah,
but how has your opinion on him changed in the last sort of 3 games? Has it changed at all?
Yeah,
Has it changed
I'm kind
much?
of half just.
I know
like,
you're sort of being silly, but
I'm being silly, but I've said this. I've said it on my review. The last 3 games, people have said that there's been improvement the whole season. To be fair, which is something I was always like people will easily remind me that I was being cautious about, because I think I was wanting to see larger sample size. I guess maybe I wanted to see some results as well. But I do definitely think the last 3 games in particular, there's been some significant improvements, and a lot of the improvements that I've seen in the last 3 games are to do with coaching and tactical things. Even like we spoke about the press. I thought the press for a large parts of the game against Brighton were relentless, and I think that was similar against Sunderland, against Liverpool. And I think Brighton, Liverpool and Sunderland have struggled a lot more to find solutions to play through Manchester United. Yeah. And that's obviously a structural thing, that's a compact thing, that's something that you've got to give Amorim a lot of credit for. And I know there's been a lot of talk about, especially from me as well, myself, about the sustainability, about the fact that we've become quite a direct and vertical team and long ball, whether we can almost like thrive playing that way. Because obviously you don't know sometimes when the ball bounces, you leave a lot to chance when you play like that, don't you? But I think it's actually worked really well, and I think Amorim doing that, it's almost, I think it suits the attacking personnel as well, getting the ball quickly and attacking quite fast. And I think that's why you're even seeing the likes of Cunha and Sesko and Mbumo start to perform better. So in a way, playing like that and that style and getting to the forward line quickly, which I think is the strongest part of our team, Amorim deserves credit for that as well, because he's effectively platforming his forward players and his better players well as well. So I think from a coaching perspective, he's had a strong performance the last 3 matches. And if this is like a change that will continue, then it's happy days. But yeah, that's definitely my opinions on that 3 games. You know me, I don't want to go.
No, I know you're
swing
not going to
way too often, but he definitely deserves some credit. I even saw a video earlier of him going to train, and he looks like he almost has a little bit of a light going on. But you know, as fans and as me, what I'll always be like is we still I want to see it maintained. We've got Forest next, we've got Tottenham. You know, quickly things can change in football, so we just got to ride the momentum and then keep it going. But there's definitely been improvement, and in fact, I think the fact we don't have midweek games, when we've been losing and playing poorly, I feel like weeks have been long, and there's been a lot of civil war discourse in the fan base and that, and it's almost like we've been a bit impatient to get to the next match. I feel like there's still that impatience, but for a different way. It almost feels like you get to Monday and you almost can't wait to see United play again.
Giddy so that's the game,
that's obviously a massive positive as well.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, I would say in our conversations you've been quite positive about the manager generally. And again, this isn't a got you or a told you so for anyone who, I mean, obviously if people being hateful and people being arseholes, that's just a separate thing. I'm talking about people who had concerns about the manager and probably maybe even still have concerns about the manager. And as Akash K's put in the comments, and I think this is a perfect way of phrasing it, there's nothing wrong with being proved wrong. After all, we all want United to win. So I think you've been someone that's really supportive of Amorim. How do you feel after these last sort of 3 games in particular?
I still just think we're 9 games in.
Yeah.
And this, even for me now, is a small sample size. I think, as I've mentioned before, it was very hard to get away from how bad last season was. And I think, it was always, you almost had to hit the ground running. So even if we're seeing progress in the performances, which I think we have done, the moment a couple of results go against you, I think because in the background you had, it was really bad last season, probably worse than we really should have allowed. Maybe some people are thinking. So I knew that pressure was going to be ramped up, but we've got less games. So as you say, we're waiting in between. It feels like longer than it is. And yeah, it really is just that 9 games. Yeah. And I don't feel like, okay, here we go, 3 games on the trot now, we can start to put it all to bed, because things can change very fast. I had a good feeling on Saturday I just felt like I think this team, with confidence, this season's version of Man United, with confidence, we haven't really seen yet. Because some of these, the new players that we're relying a lot on now, we're going to put a lot of faith in to help propel us up the league. Some of them are waiting to get off the mark. Some of them are waiting for fitness, relationships with each other on the pitch, and hopefully now you're just starting to see that tick a little bit. And reason to be optimistic, but not reason to think that okay, we're back.
Yeah, there's no told you so. Amorim's a genius and he's proven it, and United are back. I agree.
It's not that.
We're not there.
I think on the one thing I did, when we talk about from a tactical standpoint, I think it's obviously been quite something that we've worked on in being quite aggressive in the press and winning the ball back high up the pitch, which we've had, quite good success with that at times this season from day one. But I just feel like in the last couple of games, especially at the weekend, it felt like we were so organised in the positions that we were taking up. And as soon as we won the ball back, people knew where each other were. We knew where we were going to be. It was, pass, and all of a sudden we're in. I thought Brighton struggled a bit with that, and what really helped us to build pressure, because I think too often we talk about controlling games, and it's not about having the ball, playing it around the back four. I think control is that, okay, this is the way we're playing. We are quite direct. We are going to lose the ball, and we're going to try things and try and move up the pitch quickly. But how do you keep the ball coming back? How do you keep it so that you can keep a team penned in for 10, 15 minutes? And I felt like I was watching a Man United team that, I know the game went the way it did, and we did have that. We conceded the 2 goals, which was typical of where we're at when it looked like it was going to be comfortable. But I felt like we kept the pressure on them, for long periods in a game, in both halves.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think, especially over the last decade or so, people have summarised control as being possession, and they're almost one and the same. And I think just trying to come up with a bit of I think control, as kind of what you're saying, is how easy you find it to do what you're trying to do versus how difficult you make the opposition to be able to do what they want to do. And I think we had a much better success rate at doing what we wanted against Brighton than they did doing what they wanted against us. And I think we were the ones that influenced that more. And I think that's where the control, if you look at the possession against Sunderland, it was 50-50, bang even in that game. We certainly did more of what we wanted than they did what they want, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Do you know what that brings?
And that for me is actual control rather than just having more of the ball. Because
I agree.
It used to happen all the time under Van Gaal, where we would have the ball, but there were games where I did, but there were plenty of games where I thought, we don't have control over this game.
I think teams let us have the ball.
Yeah. That's also having, stuff like that, where you say possession equal, but us probably having a little bit more success. Well, whether people like to believe it or not, it's because United have some really good players. Do you know what I mean? And quite often than not, most of the teams will play this year. Cooney and Mbeumo especially could end up being probably in the top 3 attackers on the pitch.
Yeah.
No matter who we basically play this season. So I think that's what makes United really dangerous, and I think that's why a lot of people did clamour in the summer. A lot of people more than I did, because I was so adamant that we needed a midfielder. I still think that's the case. But a majority of the fan base, which seems right, were desperate for United to upgrade on Højlund, Garnacho, etc. Because when you do get players like Mbeumo and Cooney on these match winners, that can create opportunities, take their opportunities, and up there with as talented as you can get in the league in terms of attackers. This is what you can get, which is what you need at a big club, which is these match winners, these people that can score goals, that can create goals.
I expect the moment every game, almost, when I'm watching Mbeumo.
Yeah, I think, and we're seeing that at the moment. I mean, obviously we're all being very positive now, and I do. Later on, I want to talk a little bit about things that we still want to see change and some sort of issues or problems that we might have. But I don't want to start the show by, we've won 3 in a row, let's talk about problems. I think we should, and it's nice just as fans to be able to be happy and talk about positive things, even if it's not, an agenda or some sort of. I think people sometimes seem to think that us as a channel sort of, you have to say a certain thing based on what we've decided we're saying, and that isn't never the case. I think we all disagree quite regularly.
You have never told me what to say.
No,
anyway.
and we'd never tell anyone what to say. And I think that we should disagree, and we should, give each other different ideas. And I think we should come up with our own conclusions. And people who agree with one person doesn't mean you have to hate the other person, or think that this is just we're being told what to say by anyone. I think that I like the debate, and I like the differences of opinion. That's sort of the whole point about watching football, because if you just look at the results and that's the only thing that matters, then that's a very sort of binary way of watching football. I think the extra detail is the whole point of enjoying football.
I think the only people that usually have problems with that probably just come to view in terms of they're just looking for their own outlook and thoughts projected, basically.
Yeah.
Which isn't how football discourse is. People have different opinions. View different things. Obviously you can disagree, but you can be cordial about it. But I think some people just, if they don't hear what they want to hear, then it's a bit of a sulk and a kick off, ain't it?
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to talk about some pundits a little bit. I want to talk about Gary Neville to start with. I don't quite understand Gary Neville, I don't think. I think that I try and sort of, what is he doing, what isn't he doing? I just don't quite understand him. Because on one hand, we'll see and hear the commentary of United's second goal against Liverpool, and he is going berserk. like screaming with joy, just the happiest person in the stadium.
Because he is a Man United fan, fundamentally.
He is a Manchester United fan. He was before he played for us, and then playing for us for 20 years is only going to 25 years is only going to sort of accentuate that. He is a Manchester United fan, get that out of the way. But for some reason, I don't know if anyone watched, we don't really hear it that much when we're watching and doing the watch along, because we have to have the volume at a level where you get some audio cues, but if it comes through the mic, we'll get a copyright strike, and eventually the channel won't exist anymore. So that's why we can't properly hear. I went and watched the game back, and it's been a running theme over the last couple of seasons with Gary Neville. And admittedly, we've been crap for a lot of it, but it feels like he really struggles to get any joy from watching us unless we're scoring a last minute win at Man United against Liverpool. Like there were some times against Brighton where just like any foul or any potential foul that goes our way is like, nah, there's nothing there for me. I'm not. And then when we scored he was
going on about it, wasn't he?
And he couldn't get it out of his head. This Luke Shaw shirt pull thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like.
But he was very happy to write off Ahmad's penalty claim. As always,
watching him is very odd, and I don't know if he's trying to play the sort of political line. I don't know whether he thinks that if he's too Man United biased, people won't trust him, and therefore you almost have to be extra harsh to seem neutral to non-United fans, if you know what I mean. If you're a Liverpool fan watching him, he has to probably be a bit anti-United to seem in the middle, whereas for us, maybe him being in the middle seems like he's anti. I don't know if I'm reading this the wrong way. But when you watch him, there's something odd about his relationship with Man United in there. Do you see what I mean, Ronnie?
Yeah, he's just desperate to. I think his desperation since he's been on Sky Sports and been one of their main anchors is he wants to look so impartial that I think he ends up towing the line the other way. Yeah. Because any time that he doesn't show any impartiality, when he does kind of celebrate a United win or a goal, there is a massive kick-off on social media with like opposition fans, Liverpool fans especially. And I don't know if they do hear and see things. I feel like he's been so, because pundits do
he's conditioned himself.
They generally have to be quite impartial as they can, and I think because he loves United so much, he almost seems to force it the other way, which it ends up looking like sometimes he's anti-United a lot of the times when it comes to little things within games. Or maybe sometimes maybe he can just be a lot more honest about what he believes than United fans like to hear. Because maybe also what doesn't help this is United fans going to watch games on Sky Sports and go into and watch punditry, and because Gary Neville played for the club for 25 years and is a United fan, there's almost this expectation that he should be biased and he should show some favourability to United. So that when fans don't see that, they're almost kind of upset about it. So there could be an element of that as well, where if he's impartial and in the middle, United fans will still be pissed anyway because they'd rather him be biased. So I think there could be a bit of that as well.
I think it's a little strange. I mean, now I'm thinking about it, I wonder if that, with this rivalry that he has with Jamie Carragher, if maybe that's what that screaming on the commentary was more about. Looking forward to getting back in the studio and getting one over on his mate, because I don't know, I just find it because he's been so vocal about when people, for a long time, when lots of people tried to push the conversation onto the players. When he's been in the studio with the likes of Souness before, where they're talking about Pogba and the manager and players, and it almost became a bit of a meme that he would deflect and talk about the Glazers and the ownership, and there's bigger problems. Until you get them right, you aren't going to see the results on the pitch. So now, for the first time, it feels like we're moving in a direction that you can separate and say is a little bit more reason to be positive than at any point over the last 10 years. Big problems to fix, but I feel like anyone looking at it objectively might find reason to be a bit positive about Man United this season. So I do find it a little strange sometimes, and it's not just about the outlook. It's as you say, going on about that foul where it could, the referee was letting the game flow. I thought it was probably a foul. But he's let a few things go, and he's decided that he's not going to disallow a goal, which sometimes you don't mind seeing in football. But then, he didn't really stop and talk about the Ahmad penalty, which was I actually thought was
Ahmad's was a Stonewall. That Ahmad's penalty was a Stonewall penalty, and it was one of the worst decisions I've actually seen this season. As for the Luke Shaw one, I think it was, if you want to be non-biased, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
He could have given a foul, he could have not given a foul. He decided to go United's way with that one. I think that's fair. I don't think you can look at the Shaw one and be definitively saying, "Oh, that's definitely 100% not foul."
It's not crazy.
It's not like
it's
a crazy.
The referee's not giving it.
It's like one of those. Not really. Could have been soft. Do you know what I mean?
But he's got to disallow a goal for it to go back.
Exactly. So
that's a big decision.
I'm happy that he obviously didn't. As for the Amad Diallo one, that one was. I don't know, I've seen about 400 replays. It looked blatant and the stonewall you can get, and I can't believe a decision like that was VAR'd.
I think we're losing our mind over this idea of what constitutes a touch on the ball in the penalty area. Like we've seen, I think, did Saka have one at Brighton?
Yes.
Where was it Jesus?
No, it was Gyökeres.
No,
was it Gyökeres at Newcastle?
Not this season.
It was Gyökeres at Newcastle.
That one didn't get given, but there was one. It was either Jesus or Saka. I think it was Brighton. Cut inside, but he's passed him, and it's. I think the difference sometimes is that if a defender makes a move for the ball and wins it, you say fair enough, he's got the ball. But sometimes it's the attacker. The challenger's missed. It's tripped the player, but the attacker in going where they've sent the ball has just flicked off part of the defender's body. Yeah. Not really deviated too much, but they're away, and it's the contact that brings them down.
Yeah,
I think it wasn't long ago before we'd look at them as stonewall penalties, and now it just seems the forensic nature of the way we're looking at things just seems to get worse and worse every week.
They end up just going, did the defender touch it? And they spend all the time getting the frame. Oh, slight change of direction, just slight spin on the ball, and actually,
real time.
Whether he touched it. A fragment of an atom that touches his foot.
Still can be a foul, no?
Exactly, because if I knock the ball and then grab you and stop you from running, that would still be a foul.
But I don't think he's even tried to win to me, it's not like he's made a big movement to the ball.
No,
he's just got caught and his movement trips Ahmad.
Yeah,
and then any touch
foul
on the heel is almost irrelevant.
And
in a
I
way.
think the Mbeumo one was a foul as well, where he gets clotheslined. And
I
again,
thought
they sort of didn't go back to that. And it's outside the box anyway. And when you watch it, I think it's on the line.
I think it was inside.
It was outside the box.
So is that one? What's the technicalities with that? Is it because it wouldn't be a penalty? They don't know for sure whether it would be a penalty.
I think they said because his momentum was carrying him, because he was running to the right hand side anyway.
But with the Mbeumo one, if it was like, can they VAR something with two decisions? Because then there'd be VAR in it for whether he was in the box or not, and two, whether it was a foul.
Anything that could be a penalty,
they can do it. Yeah,
like they did in the Liverpool game.
Yeah,
because it was. I mean, that was funny.
But that was funny. But yes, if it's to end up awarding a penalty, they can do a check to check it's in the box and then to check if it's a foul. Yeah, they could have done that, and they didn't even ever really look back at that. The Sky Sports sort of coverage didn't really go back at it. It was like, no, and even if it was outside the box. All right, well that's just gospel then.
It seems bizarre sometimes watching football these days, where because of this almost disconnect between the referees on the pitch and VAR in the studio, in terms of who gives what decision first and which way round we want to actually re-referee the game. You're almost watching games where identical fouls can happen, and one game it's a stonewall penalty or whatever, and other games it's just not even talked about because it wasn't given on the pitch and we just move on.
It's really weird.
I find it really strange.
And it's definitely encouraged refs to make fewer risky decisions on the pitch, because why would I risk looking like an idiot in front of 75,000 people when someone in a van can just correct me? When they've got they'll still get scrutiny, but they don't have people screaming in their face that they've made it. So I'll just go no penalty across the board. Then if I'm wrong, they'll fix it for me anyway, which then leads to things being missed because
they don't want to. Maybe it's not enough.
Exactly. Yeah. When realistically, the ref isn't reffing how they would if VAR didn't exist. So things get missed that shouldn't be. But obviously we'll see. Jamie Carragher's another one I want to talk about, because this was a quote from him on the 27th of September. And some of this, I'm going to already jump in his defence and say, I get why he, at that time, thought Amorim was really struggling and that he might leave the job. We all said on this channel, I said, I won't speak for anyone else, that I would like to give Amorim to the end of the season. That would just be my sort of position. But I think he probably will go. I think he will, but I don't want him to, was where I was up to. So the idea that a Liverpool legend thinks that Amorim is probably coming to the end of his time at United, I don't think that is too reckless. But I do think some of the phrasing of this is a little bit harsher than it needed to be. So we said, I think he's still in the job because the powers that be at Manchester United have made that many mistakes so far with the decisions that they have made one on and off the pitch that they don't want to admit right now that they've made another. This has been a disaster for Manchester United, but also Ruben Amorim. What he did at Sporting Lisbon was fantastic. He looked like the next big thing as manager, but bringing a manager like that with the system that he plays, I don't think ever suited a club like Manchester United with the traditions of Manchester United. The quicker they make the decision on the manager, the better for everybody, because like I said, it's been a disaster for the club and the manager. We're all just waiting for the inevitable, unfortunately, because you don't want people to lose their jobs, but this has to end as quickly as possible. So that's about as emphatic as you can get in terms of calling for someone's job. Let's be honest.
Was that heavily general consensus though after the Brentford loss though?
Well,
because that's like an age poorly kind of thing.
So I think I think there's a line there where I would say, one is I think the manager's come to the end of his time at United. I think he needed to start winning games now. The fact that he hasn't suggests that things aren't working. But I think personally saying the only reason they haven't sacked him is because they're embarrassed to, and that it makes them look bad. I think that is a step too far. As a pundit, you're not a fan who's like just saying some shit in your bedroom, and not that I guess we're in that category. So I don't want to say we can just say what we want and it's fine. I'm not gonna lie. Some journalists have said that though. Yeah, around that time in different phrasing where they've said the likes of Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada have a lot of their reputation kind of wedded to how well Amorim does because he was like the.
But journalists are having these conversations all the time.
So I don't know. I'm looking at that and I think, it sounds emphatic. It's very heavy. But after United had that 3-1 loss to Brentford, the whole vibe and around Amorim did feel like it was.
I think he's delusional, Carragher.
Do you know what I mean? But because I look at that, it's like somebody said that 3 games later has aged really badly. Yeah. But at the time, it didn't seem as egregious because that was a general consensus.
If 3 games
that's his job. Well, they've probably asked him about the job after the game.
But I think he's gone so it's almost like it's overdue and this is going to happen any day. I just think he's that much of a fan. I don't think he would have spoke like that about Villa.
He certainly wouldn't have spoken like that about Slot.
Certainly, yeah.
And I know that obviously Slot has won a league, so you get a much longer lead. I get that. But even after the Liverpool game, the talk was around United having to, basically play this sort of poor man's football by booting it long and winning the second balls, and not talking about any sort of credit or kind of, execution by Manchester United. It all felt very much like, well, United have sort of done the only shit little thing they could to win the game. And it wasn't a criticism of Slot particularly. It was talking about, because he said, this was after the game against Liverpool. He said, when you... where was it? He said that was the only way that we could win this game. He said United could basically win by sort of parking the bus and going long. He talked about Amorim's appointment being a disaster, and all of those things that we've sort of mentioned. I think that if you're going to give that much criticism when things are bad, you need to give a lot of praise, and maybe a disproportionately more praise than you would when things are going well, because otherwise the standard is if you're losing, you're shit, and if you're winning, so what?
So what's he said after the win against Brighton?
He hasn't really spoken about it because I don't think he's done any games talking about United since.
So it'll be interesting to see what he says. Because honest to God, I know it might be unpopular, but when I look at what he said after the Brentford game, if you take yourself back to after the Brentford game and the whole atmosphere and the environment around the Premier League towards United's loss and Amorim where they were, how his basically tenure's been so far, it's not like the craziest thing, like he said, especially as a pundit. No, I think that's something where it's like hindsight's 2020, where you've gone 3 weeks in advance. No, but I think you said that at that time.
I get that.
It's an age poorly kind of.
I get that, and it isn't. And but also, like we said the whole time, I don't think that I'm not sitting here saying that everything is well with Manchester United, everything's perfect, Amorim's going to win this league, it's amazing. But I do think that as someone that is one of the highest paid people on the biggest football channel in the country, Sky Sports isn't just someone tweeting. It is a platform that changes the narratives around Manchester United.
I think he loves it, and I think he can't wait to twist the knife with Man United.
Of course, he loves it.
No, of course, but you look at like this. I mean, there's I've seen Slot a few times when he's got beat, and it's not the biggest criticism in the world to say he's a bit salty, and he doesn't like to dish out credit too much, and he almost does it in a bit of a backhanded way. He's a bad loser. Yeah. A lot of winning managers are, and he's had a very good first season. He's under a bit of pressure now. But then you see Carragher in the studio talking about, he's just Dutch. It's just the way he is. Well,
he said he's Dutch. Come on, we've had Dutch players and Dutch managers come to our league. They're very open. They'll say what happened. He's not trying to be offensive to Man United. He's just telling you what happened in the game, and I think it's quite refreshing. I get it, but like you said, just because someone's Dutch doesn't mean they can't be a bad loser.
Man United aren't the only team that have figured out Liverpool over the past few weeks. Yeah, and they've been struggling a little bit. And I don't know. I just think that it's. Carragher's eloquent enough and smart enough to. I feel like he's, with most teams he's quite reasonable, but with Man United and Liverpool, I think he's a little bit more of a fan in both directions. Yeah. But he's able to articulate that, and I think it was just maybe a little bit. It's a bit of a strong statement, wasn't it, about Amorim and the owners of the club, and it's maybe a bit early to go with it. If it can turn back on you in so few games, is it? Did you not go a bit early?
Yeah, it's like hindsight, innit? As I said, it's 2020. Because this is the thing, though. 3 weeks ago, or 3 or 4 weeks ago, 3-4 games ago, United seemed like we was in a crisis. We say it every week, United always do feel like they're one game away from one. If United then go and lose to Forest and Tottenham back to back, then doesn't the pendulum of the whole thing swing again? That's why we're being positive and we're saying, even me, and saying how the last 3 games in the league in terms of Sunderland, Liverpool and Brighton have seen some really positive signs, some really good signs of progression, some players playing really well. We still have that thing of we want to ride this momentum, we want to see it sustained throughout the whole season. Because even though we are buzzing about it, and I think the signs do shine some like optimism towards the next few games as well, especially with Forest not playing too well. No, Sean Dyche just come in, and then you've got Spurs as well under Thomas Frank, who for the results that they've gotten, haven't looked amazing themselves. And you look at United and think, when United put a strong starting 11 together and you look at the 11 personnel, there's not many teams with better talent than United. Do you know what I mean? I've always believed that United in the midfield have had a midfield issue. I think there's a bit of a wing back issue as well, especially on the left. But this whole consensus that United have really rubbish players and the players are shit and all this that people were saying, I never believed that. United have full internationals throughout the team. They have some really talented players. Yeah. And I think it comes out more obviously when we're winning games as well. But I still, as positive as we are kind of thinking we need to see that if Forest and Tottenham we can get a little bit giddy as well, because that'll be 5 games. Guy can cut his hair. Do you know what I mean? And then it'll be happy. We have an international break where we're thinking, yes, more training time. We can come out into the Christmas break, which is going to be relentless, and we can attack it. And obviously, looking at the way the league is shaping up now, United could actually be in and around the top 4 race at least. And I feel like without midweek games to kind of tire us out in terms of which our rivals will have, United could have a really strong league campaign. But with this whole you think this 3-game block and then 3 blocks later, things can change so much in football. It's like Villa. Look where Villa are now. When they were basically bottom of the table.
I would say no one was saying that Villa should.
Villa
United.
But I would say with that, I think it's different. If at that point in time he goes, I think this is my reading of it. But I think with sometimes it frames it completely different when you speak with such certainty. You're making statements that this is what's happened at Man United, and there's a little bit of arrogance of thinking that he knows exactly what's happening behind the scenes, that it is a disaster, that it can't work, that it has.
The quicker they make the decision on the manager, the better for everyone. Yeah.
I think it was maybe just the point where he could have quite easily come out and said, "I think it's got to this point," and I don't think anyone would have come for him. No, based on that. But it's just I don't know. There's a little bit of a. I think he's put maybe a bit high on Liverpool's recent success and just assuming that it's going to go wrong again for Man United. A little bit of that, probably thinking this isn't going to come back to bite me, and probably just went a bit early with such a big statement.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We've got a few super chats. Calvin says, "Hey lads, this is a question for Joe. What do you use for your hair? I'm trying to grow mine out and wanted to ask someone I trust and respect. First of all, thanks. Second of all, mostly just a bit of shampoo and then olive oil." Which is, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that to anyone, but that's the only oil I've found that's heavy enough to actually weigh my hair down. But if your hair isn't really heavy, then you might not. Olive oil would be way too much and it would be silly. But there you go, that's what I use. Peter Kelly says, "It's crazy how much United affect my mood. I'm walking with an extra inch in my step, my head up, chest out, and smile on my face." Saturday night. You said you were walking with an extra inch as well, but you said it was in your trousers.
Yes, what?
After the game.
What, my tailbone?
Oh, that's it, yeah. Your tail's wagging after the game, isn't it? Cheers, Peter.
That's what you must be talking about.
That was it, yeah.
No, hey, listen, that's actually the case. Many people will actually believe that I enjoy when United lose. Yeah. Some way.
I think obviously not. Regardless of what's happened, it's been 2 years where we've had to deal with a disappointment almost on a every other week. Yeah. So it is nice to have a couple of weeks in a row where we're a little bit happy.
A full-named Huggy says, olive oil, Joe is so Tory, lol. Well, what I would say to that, first of all, is...
You're not Tory.
Find me a single hair product that costs less per gram than olive oil does. Because I would struggle to find anything. You get a bottle that big for about £5.50. Nothing. That gives me about a year's worth.
Just
Nothing
even
else
cheaper,
is doing
coconut
that.
oil. And that's
Coconut
meant
oil.
to be quite good as well.
There you go. Hello, Ronaldo Brown.
Water.
But that's not a product, is it?
Crisp and dry.
Yeah, a single calorie spray, a fry light.
Water's not a product.
It's not a hair product, is it?
Yes, it is.
In what way?
Says who?
I mean, I don't. How is it? Go on.
It's
That's like saying air.
Yeah?
It's true. It's like saying air.
It's just like air. Yes, it does affect your hair, but it's not a product.
Is air sold?
But he's trying to achieve keeping
But
it.
water.
Yeah.
Water is sold.
But that's not the same thing. Air is sold as well. Go to a hospital. They have canisters of air that is
They don't sell them.
Well, they do.
Oh, they sell
can
them to
buy air if
hospitals.
you know.
Buy air if you want to, is what I'm trying to say.
If you operate a bar, you need to buy
Yeah.
That's oxygen, isn't it?
gas.
Yeah.
The air,
Anyway,
the air
okay,
just doesn't
tell me
include-
how water is a hair product.
Because it helps your hair.
Does it?
Yeah.
Depends, really.
I don't think- but that's
some
not-
people's hair gets
No.
water and it goes all
Yeah,
over.
it's terrible.
Yeah. Is it a product?
You said olive
This
oil.
guy wanted to hammer him out.
I'm like,
Well, me. Yeah, let's not forget this water hair guy. He was hammering him out 2 weeks ago. Michael, that was really nice. Michael Dyson, who's been a member for 44 months, says,
Hey.
have you studs ever noticed...
let the comments get me first, man, before you two do. Do you know what I mean?
Have you studs ever noticed that when a team wins the transfer window, they then have a garbage season? Also nice that Amorim has cranked things to 11. Winning the transfer window typically means signing the most big names, because realistically a genuinely good transfer window is hard to predict because it's about filling gaps in squads. It's not about signing the most expensive players and signing the most expensive players. Liverpool won the transfer window because they got a shitload of big names in. Whether that works or not, you can't really tell, and you still can't tell. 9 games isn't enough to say that, you know, Wirtz is a shocking signing, or that, you know, Isak's never going to score again. You've probably got to give people a year before you can genuinely start talking about signings. And even then, sometimes it takes more than that. But so far, it looks like they tried to fix something that wasn't broke, and actually they ignored the only crack there was in the system, which was the defence and midfield. They've gone, yeah, we're just going to pretend that our centre-backs are amazing, and we're going to get loads of attackers. So, so far, it's not doing well, is it, from... Bless them, they're behind Man United in the league.
Do you know what, we keep talking about which team would prefer to win the league, and so the Liverpool, City, and look like Arsenal going to win it, and I hate them as well.
We're more likely, aren't we?
Do you know what I mean?
Well,
why can't we stop them?
We're above Liverpool in the league.
Why can't
we're
we?
a point ahead of
Why
Liverpool.
can't we stop Arsenal winning the league?
That's big from where you've.
Do you know
come
there's
from.
people that I reckon there's people that would believe that. I reckon there's people out there that
Talk to
believe
me.
if Amorim somehow spears United to a league title.
What are you even saying? But
Yeah.
keep talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knighthood.
Do you reckon people would comment in saying, "Oh, I bet Ronnie's upset about that"?
Yeah, they will. But people
Yeah.
will think that
People
you
think
will be
that
gutted.
I'd be gutted
fuming
that we win
tonight.
the league because Amorim was gaffer. I reckon people would actually believe that.
Here's another.
I'd happily take the flack if United win the league. By the way, I'll take that 1,000,000 times.
That's big of you.
I'll take the abuse.
Good. Here's something that I'll say as
Brilliant.
well, and I said this when we had a good run under Solskjaer, and I said it when we had a good run under Ten Hag, and I'll say it again now. Enjoy it, because
You never know when
you never know, because yes, we're looking deluded. You talk about winning the league, you talk about top 4, you talk about beating this 5 in a row, and it's easy to say, well, it's never going to happen. Why are we getting bloody hell? We win 3 games and look. Because this feeling now, we've been waiting fucking 2 years for this feeling. So I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. And then if we get hurt and we lose 3 games in a row,
Next
that was
week,
going to hurt anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel any better. You go, I never got excited. I've never been happy my whole life, so it makes it easier to be sad. That isn't true. Enjoy being happy and get a bit deluded and chat to your mates about whether we can win the league or not, and whether Amorim's the new fucking, Johan Cruyff. Get excited by all that stuff. And then when we lose, you go, it wasn't to be. But at least you had a minute where you were
I
having
prefer to be
fun.
half full and think, okay,
Yeah.
well, how might this go forward in a positive way?
Yeah.
I know it can go forward in a negative way.
ain't a half full
There's
guy.
always a possibility, but it's
Put your glass on the table, Ronnie. Is that glass half full or half empty?
some good hair product.
Ronnie's
right there.
holding it, so Ronnie's
Yeah, what are
holding
you
it.
drinking hair product
So
for?
it's more than likely half empty.
Is it?
And also, wait, why am I drinking hair product?
Yeah.
You said olive oil was a hair product, right?
Let me just
Yeah.
sip on my big glass of olive oil.
Yeah. People consume olive oil.
They do.
So you're wrong twice now.
But I never said.
You said it was a hair. You said olive oil was a hair.
No, I said I put it in my hair. I know it's a food. God damn, I know it's a food. Put that on some prawns, chuck them on the barbecue. Lou McCarry's Chippy says, I personally buzz off the limey wet wipes hating on us. Piss my pants some of the lame tactics and questions on Amorim. 4th win coming up. Very exciting. Abhinav Verma says there's been objective, then there's been straight up biased to the extent that Gary Neville is. He just mazed stuff up about Ahmad's penalty claim. Ross Murphy says, I wanted to be happy Gary Neville made it into the Premier League Hall of Fame. Instead, we're talking again about his neutral commentary. Abhinav Verma says there was a foul on Obama in the first half as well. Absolutely agree. VAR didn't look at it because it was outside the box, but that was a blatant error. And like we said before, I actually think that was inside the box. Quite a few super chats. Thank you for these. Ben Toppin says Gary Neville just seems afraid to be a Man United fan in public. The best example of neutral commentary from a United perspective is Rio. Neville should take notes. The hot sloppy, wowzers, says coincidence. Ratcliffe's support increases with a good run of form. I mean, I don't think that's a coincidence. That just is cause and effect. I think when the team you own wins games, your reputation goes up. I think that's understandable. Abhinav Verma, are we going to talk about how Brentford basically did illegal tactics like long throws and not sharing his tactics with Slot pre-game? That's the Wally of the week. That's very.
Oh yeah, he had to let Slot know that the long throws were coming.
The Sesko comment was so stupid.
He's such a weirdo.
So that's like, what do you think was going to happen there? Yeah. You open yourself up to ridicule.
Yeah,
it's because he's been spoilt. Obviously, it's been so smooth sailing since he arrived.
Yeah,
that now he's got a hiccup. I think it's like a spoilt child.
I thought it was disrespectful when they came and beat United at Old Trafford, and he talked about Ten Hag's tactics in that game in a very open way, as if they were kind of stupid and foolish.
Do you know what's funny? I'm not doing the toy soul thing, but even throughout Slot's whole first season when Liverpool were winning games and I was still quite critical of Slot. Because I felt there was so many games last year where Liverpool would win because obviously they're just top end quality and Salah where they just score goals. But I did think they looked a bit defensively. They always looked like they could be got at.
I think they got themselves so far ahead at a counter early on. I don't think they ever really felt the pressure that anyone was behind them, and they were playing in such a relaxed manner.
They were never. I don't think they've ever been watertight tactically. Under Slot.
I think the more he coaches them, the worse they get, and that's not usually a good sign as a manager.
Which is great, isn't it?
It is great. Abhinav Verma. Oh no, sorry, we read that one. That was very good. Stephen K said we have a positive goal difference. By the way, finally, +1, baby.
This is what I mean.
1. That's all you need.
Hey, with 3 wins on a bounce, and we're happy, we're buzzing. But the Premier League's so tough. You just got to take every game as it comes. Because, as I said, Nottingham Forest, Spurs. You never know what can happen because the Premier League. I think every single game's hard. Every game's a test. Because even look at the way the Sunderland wins aged. It seems like a better win now after they've beaten. They've done so well and they've beaten Chelsea. And then you look at the Brentford loss and then it's like shit. We lost to a Brentford super team. It looks like.
Yeah.
They went and beat. They've beaten Liverpool.
And it works both ways though, doesn't it? Because it's. I don't think. I mean, on one hand, you know that if it turns, it could quite easily. You find yourself falling down the league quite quickly. But also, we've had a little bit of an upturn, and we've shot up the table faster than we probably thought we would have done.
Yeah,
but it's too early to look at it. But
we can't be complacent because, as I've said, it just takes a poor run within 4 matches.
Yeah,
and then United we're straight back down to earth. So we've got to make sure that the progression and this improvement that we've seen is held without, and it looks at least a little bit linear. Where can you get even better? Because we've played well, we played better. Things aren't perfect. Still improvements that can be made, but there's definitely positive signs.
Speaking of positive signs, it was Bruno Fernandes' 300th game for Manchester United at the weekend.
Mad thing.
I just want to talk a little bit about him and his time at Man United because I saw an article the other day, and at first it was a tweet that sort of, the tweet that goes along with the article. I thought it's a little bit hyperbolic, and then I reread it and thought that might be spot on, and it basically said Bruno Fernandes isn't just a good Man United player in a bad time. He is an all-time Manchester United great. And he's, in that conversation with some of the best players we've had. Not just is he the best of a bad bunch, that truly by himself, he is one of the best midfielders United have ever had. I mean, looking at his numbers, he's an attacking midfielder who's played as a 6, he's played as an 8, he's played on the left, he's played on the right, 300 games, 100 goals, 87 assists. including, I think it was 19 goals, 19 assists last season. The percentiles, the numbers, all of that are just absurd. Go and check them out yourself. In terms of chances created, I think he's made more chances than anyone else in the Premier League since he arrived. I think he had more goals and assists than any attacking midfielder in the top 5 leagues last season. He's just an astonishing player, and he gets a lot of criticism, and he does have weaknesses, namely he gets rash and he gets emotional, especially when United aren't winning, and I think he thinks that it's his job to put the game on his back and try and win it for us. Sometimes that works, often it doesn't. He's someone that appears to be a little bit petulant. He can sort of throw his toys out the pram a little bit. But I think for me, he is not just the best player since he arrived. That's just almost obvious. I think he's the best number 10 I've ever seen in Man United. Again, we often didn't play with a number 10, so I don't know what the competition is there. But he is the only player from the last 5 or 6 years that would get in every Man United squad, and probably most Man United teams that I've ever seen. He would be, more than worth his salt to get games for that 08 team. I think he would. Yeah. The game was so different in 99. I'm not going to stick him in that squad, but I think he's one of the best midfielders I've ever seen in Manchester United. I think he's a phenomenal player. What do you make of Bruno Fernandes? Am I being too much? Is it too much? Am I glazing him too much, as the kids would say?
No, I think you're right on the donut.
Yeah.
I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think that was very, very well said, Joe.
Thank you.
And he definitely counts as one of the best United servants there has been. He probably just doesn't have the big accolades to go with it, and that's been no fault of his own. I think he's pretty much done everything he can. It's hard. I don't think we've ever seen a player at Manchester United as durable as him as well. In terms of responsibility that he's taken, playing week in, week out, 90 minutes majority of the time, and working his socks off each and every match and being committed to the cause. So, and that's just before you even talk about his quality, his goals and assists, and his game breaking ability. So Bruno Fernandes definitely looks to be one of United's greats. In terms, where you say greats, what you're saying, is it like top 30?
Yeah, I'm not 40? Saying he's better.
We're not saying like he's like one of the best of all time or anything like that, but it's fair to say he can constitute as a United legend.
All areas are different, aren't they? And he's probably the only one on the poster so far for this era of Man United. Yeah, I think a lot of it's been unfortunate for him that it's coincided with such a poor moment in what's going on at the club. I think, especially when you're seeing tactics roundly criticised and style of play, I think sometimes because he's been at the heart of that, it's a lot of people have come to the conclusion that he's the problem. He's actually the issue as to why things aren't ticking. But it's always cited how much he gives the ball away. But if you look alongside like players that lose possession of the ball, he is always at the top of that list. But he makes so much happen. Mo Salah's always at the top of these lists, and Burmo, I think, lost the ball more than anyone, I think, in the Premier League last year. Possibly, I might be wrong on that, but he's right near the top. Players that there are some players that have a little bit of a license to play a certain way, but they make so much happen, and we wouldn't criticise. I think it's so unfair, a lot of what he gets thrown at him, but there's nothing you can really do because in this period there's been no vindication for him. So I really hope this season, with some of the players we've added now and the players ahead of him are starting to purr a little bit, I hope he can get a bit of vindication this year. And he adds a shit ton of assists and scores some goals, and he has some big moments in big games, because he may move on in a year's time, and regardless of what he's won, he should go down as certainly a great of the past decade or so.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
5 years.
Just to clarify one thing, because I see a few people in the comments talking about people who wore the number 10 shirt. I'm not saying he's better than Wayne Rooney. No. I'm not saying he's better than Eric Cantona. I'm not saying he's better than Dennis Law. I'm saying as an attacking midfielder, he's the best I've seen at Man United. And Wayne Rooney wasn't an attacking midfielder. I know he played all over the front, but Rooney was a striker who was versatile. Bruno Fernandes is an attacking midfielder who is versatile. So just to clarify that, I'm not saying he's better than Wayne Rooney. I don't think that, but I think he should break out of the confines of best of a bad bunch into genuine United great, and I think for me he's done that. Graham Sharkey says, at times we haven't deserved him. In an era of mercenaries, Bruno is standalone in trying to uphold what this club is about. We owe him, my captain. Stood there, just tears fucking pouring down your cheeks. I fucking love it. I absolutely love it. We've got time for Wally of the week, I think. Who's been an absolute Wally this week, Ronnie? I'll start with you.
always forget about this.
Easy one could just be Michael Oliver for his VAR decision on the Ahmad penalty.
Yeah.
And the fact that Michael Oliver thought, because I'm hidden in the VAR box, I can actually successfully implement my anti-Manchester United agenda without being caught.
Yeah. No one will know.
No
one will know.
No, apart from everyone, no will know. But because you're hidden, you're not in plain sight.
Who are you saying?
Arne Slot continues to be a bit of a Wally. Maybe Jadon Sancho. All going very well for him, isn't it, Mr. Freedom?
Apparently that was a fitness thing.
I know. I think it was, wasn't it? But
no wonder it's a fitness thing. He's played about 10 minutes in the last year.
It's just. I know it probably is a fitness thing, but just look at where his career is and where it. Yeah, good riddance.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? I do actually. I mean,
I feel bad in some ways because obviously I think he may have
from a human level.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks I don't like seeing people struggle, but other parts of me think, come on, you could have changed a lot of this personally.
Yeah.
Let me get into some other people's Wall of the Weeks. Premier League refs, I think that's just a general standard one, isn't it? Anthony Taylor says Ross Murphy. I know you sort of hinted at him. I'm going to go with Slot. I just don't think he's that good of a manager.
Yeah.
I think that he doesn't seem to have answers when things aren't going very well. I think that he's obviously decent. You can't win the Premier League without being decent. I'm not saying that he's shit. I just think at the top level, when your team is struggling and it's your structures and tactics that they rely on to win them games, he seems to be lacking in that area, and he doesn't seem to look at himself very much when things are going wrong. And that's the thing that annoys me.
So you think Liverpool are getting worse the more they morph away from a Klopp side?
Yeah, 100%. And also, their best players are aging, and they haven't replaced them very well. And that's not necessarily Slot's fault, but
I actually feel like even the players like Wirtz and Isak and even like Kirkers and that look poor. All the signs that look poor. I think Ekatike's look good though.
Yep.
I'd argue Slot's even kind of half responsible for that as well. Is he making these players look worse? Is he playing them incorrectly? Is he not platforming them properly?
But that's it, isn't it? Because you're responsible for yourself. The Premier League is changing, and it's changed many times over the years. I think Man City, play now in a way that's probably, I don't know, it offers quite a contrast. I think when you look at the way some teams are playing and the way Man City's set out to play, it's running into a few more issues than it used to. But that's up to them to own, and they'll stand or fall based on that. I think it's too often commenting about other teams like this is the way the Premier League's going. This is the way teams are trying to be successful. It's getting a bit more direct. It's a very physical league. Criticising other team, criticising Man United last week, talking about after the Frankfurt game, didn't he? Was he talking that it was a better matchup for them tactically? Well, great.
Yeah.
What on earth does that mean?
Yeah.
And then you come unstuck at the weekend in a team that kind of mixed it up and made it difficult for you.
Yeah. My last boxing match against a 4-year-old child went really well, but this tough guy, I'm really struggling. You're like, well, you've got to be able to have options when you're playing teams that are as good as you and doing weird things.
And don't talk so openly in that way that it's great when teams match up well and I don't like it when they don't. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Figure it out, and if you don't, then obviously you lose your job. But figure it out with a bit of dignity.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Tom,
up there,
as always, for going on. It's nice to see you getting all riled up, being happy. You too, Ronaldo. You went for a little handshake there. It looked like you did.
I didn't.
Oh, shit.
It's embarrassing.
Made me look a fool.
He's played you there.
Thanks for the handshake. It was really nice. Thank you, everyone, for joining us as well. Also, we've got loads of new clothing, loads of new merchandise in the description. We've got loads of new stuff in there. We've got the green and gold stuff. We've got the Stretford Paddock stuff. Genuinely, completely sort of re-looked at all of our stuff, and we've gone and absolutely changed things up. So there's loads of good stuff in there. Go and check out if you haven't already. I know a lot of people have, but if you haven't, the link is in the description. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you in a bit.